Her daughter sent a selfie while on a camping trip with the grandparents. But when her mother zoomed in on the picture, her blood turned to ice. In that heart-stopping moment, the 30 miles separating her from her only reason for living felt like an impossible chasm. Her 7-year-old daughter was smiling innocently into the camera, completely unaware of the danger, watching from the tree line. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from today. Melissa Jenkins sat at her dining room table, afternoon sunlight streaming through the half-drawn blinds. She tried to focus on the quarterly report open on her laptop, a critical project that could lead to her long-awaited promotion. But her mind kept wandering. With a frustrated sigh, she rubbed her tired eyes and shifted positions in her chair for the 10th time in the past hour. "This isn't working," she muttered to herself, shoving away from the desk. The house was too quiet. Normally, her 7-year-old daughter Emma would be bouncing around, chattering away about her day at school or begging to play in the backyard. But Emma was away camping with her grandparents, and the silence was deafening. Melissa checked her phone again. No new messages since that morning when her parents had sent a quick text saying they'd arrived safely at Pinewood Lake Campground. Emma had been so excited about her first big girl camping trip without Mom, 3 whole days with Grandma and Grandpa, roasting marshmallows and learning to fish. Just as Melissa was about to set her phone down, it chimed with a notification. A new message from her mother with a photo attached. Melissa's face broke into a smile as she opened it. There was Emma, her blonde pigtails askew under a too-big fishing hat, grinning widely at the camera. In the background, she could see her father setting up a fishing rod by the lake shore. Her mother must have been the one taking the picture. "At least she's having fun," Melissa said to the empty room, feeling some of her anxiety melt away. She was about to put the phone down when something in the background caught her eye. She frowned, pinching the screen to zoom in on the image. Behind her father, partially hidden among the trees that bordered the campsite, stood a figure, a man. Most people might have dismissed it. Campgrounds were public places after all. But something about the way the man was positioned, half hidden, watching her family, sent alarm bells ringing in Melissa's head. She zoomed in further, the image becoming grainier but still clear enough to see that the man was wearing a dark jacket despite the summer heat. And there, just visible where his jacket had fallen open, was what appeared to be the handle of a gun. Melissa's blood ran cold. She knew that campground. It was a family-friendly place where weapons weren't allowed, and something about the man's stance, the way he was watching her family while trying to remain hidden. Her hands trembling, Melissa immediately called her father. The call went straight to voicemail. She tried her mother next, with the same result. The campground was notorious for its spotty cell service, one of the few downsides to its beautiful, secluded location. Panic rising in her chest, Melissa dialed 911. "911, what's your emergency?" The dispatcher's calm voice came through the line. "My daughter. She's camping with my parents at Pinewood Lake Campground," Melissa said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "They just sent me a photo and there's a man in the background watching them. He has what looks like a gun." "Mom, can you describe exactly what you see in the photo?" "My daughter is in the foreground. My dad is setting up fishing gear by the lake, but behind them, in the trees, there's a man watching them. He's wearing a dark jacket, and I can see what looks like a gun handle where his jacket is open." "And you're certain this isn't another camper or ranger?" "The way he's positioned, he's hiding, watching them." "And weapons aren't allowed at this campground. Something's wrong, I know it," Melissa insisted. The dispatcher took the campsite details and promised to send officers to check on her family immediately. But Melissa knew the campground was at least 30 minutes from the nearest sheriff's station. "I'm going there myself," she told the dispatcher. "My family might be in danger." "Ma'am, we recommend you wait." But Melissa had already ended the call. She grabbed her keys, purse, and the emergency kit she always kept ready in the closet, a habit from her years working as a paramedic before switching to hospital administration. The drive to Pinewood Lake Campground normally took 45 minutes, but Melissa made it in 30, her knuckles white on the steering wheel as she tried repeatedly to call her parents. Each attempt went straight to voicemail, increasing her anxiety with every failed connection. As she turned onto the gravel road leading to the campground, Melissa tried to reason with herself. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe the man was just another camper or a park ranger. Maybe the object she'd seen wasn't a weapon at all, but her instincts were screaming that something was wrong, and her instincts had rarely failed her. The campground came into view, a collection of well-spaced sites surrounded by tall pines, with a gleaming lake at its center. Melissa spotted her parents' familiar RV near the water's edge and pulled her car alongside it, sending gravel flying as she braked hard. "Mom! Dad! Emma!" she called, leaping from the car. "Melissa?" Her mother emerged from the RV, surprise evident on her face. "What are you doing here?" "Where's Emma? Where's Dad?" Melissa demanded, her eyes scanning the area. "They're down by the lake, fishing. Melissa, what's wrong? You look Melissa didn't wait for her mother to finish. She sprinted toward the shoreline, her heart hammering against her ribs. In the distance, she could see her father's familiar plaid shirt and Emma's bright yellow jacket as they stood on the small wooden pier. "Dad! Emma!" she shouted. They turned at the sound of her voice, Emma's face lighting up with delight. "Mommy!" she squealed, starting to run toward Melissa. "Stay with Grandpa!" Melissa called out, still scanning the tree line for the man from the photo. Her father caught Emma's hand, his expression confused but alert. He'd always been quick to respond to emergencies, a trait Melissa had inherited. "Mel, what's going on?" he asked as she reached them. "There was someone watching you in the photo Mom sent," Melissa explained breathlessly, pulling Emma close to her side. "A man in the trees with what looked like a gun." Her father's face darkened. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure enough that I called 911. They're sending someone to check." As if on cue, the distant wail of sirens cut through the air. Emma looked up, her eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and fear. "Mummy, why are the police coming? Are we in trouble?" "No, sweetie," Melissa assured her, kneeling down to eye level. "I just want to make sure everyone is safe. Did you see anyone watching you today? Maybe someone you didn't know?" Emma shook her head, then paused, her small brow furrowing in thought. "Well, there was a man who talked to Grandpa earlier. He asked a lot of questions about me." Melissa's gaze shot to her father, who nodded grimly. "Guy came by about an hour ago, said he was staying a few sites over, started chatting about fishing, then asked if Emma was my granddaughter. Got a bit too interested for my liking, so I wrapped up the conversation." "What did he look like?" Melissa asked, her voice tight. "Tall, dark jacket, baseball cap pulled low. Couldn't see his face clearly, but something felt off about him. That's why I moved us out to the pier instead of fishing from the shore." A sheriff's vehicle pulled into the campground, followed by a second. Melissa waved to get their attention, and two officers approached them quickly. "Are you the woman who called 911? One asked, his hand resting casually near his holster. "Yes," Melissa confirmed, showing them the photo on her phone. "This is what I saw." The officers studied the image carefully. "We're going to need to search the area," the senior officer said. "In the meantime, I suggest you all stay together and return to your campsite where it's more open." As the family made their way back to the RV, Melissa noticed her mother had been joined by a campground ranger. The woman's face was tense as she spoke into her radio. "We've identified him," the ranger said as they approached. "His name is Keith Wilson. He checked in yesterday, Site 14, but when we went to speak with him just now, he was gone. His tent is still there, but he's cleared out most of his gear." "Does he have a record?" Melissa asked. The ranger nodded grimly. "The sheriff just ran his ID through the system. He's got priors for stalking and was recently released from county jail. There's also—" She hesitated, glancing at Emma. Understanding the unspoken message, Melissa's father quickly engaged Emma in helping to pack up some of their fishing gear, moving her out of earshot. "There's also a restraining order against him filed by his ex-wife," the ranger continued in a lower voice. "He's not supposed to be anywhere near their daughter, who's about your daughter's age and looks similar." Ice formed in Melissa's veins as the implications hit her. "You think he mistook Emma for his daughter?" "It's possible. Or he could be fixating on a new target. Either way, we need to find him." The search for Keith Wilson continued throughout the afternoon. More officers arrived, along with K9 units trained to track human scent. The campground was placed on lockdown, with all campers advised to stay at their sites or gather at the main lodge. As evening approached with no sign of Wilson, the sheriff recommended that Melissa take Emma home while her parents packed up their campsite. Officers would escort them back to the city once they were ready. "I don't like leaving you," Melissa told her parents as they stood beside her car. "We'll be fine," her father assured her. "There are officers everywhere. Take Emma home where she'll feel safe." Reluctantly, Melissa agreed. After securing Emma in her booster seat, she hugged her parents tightly and promised to call them as soon as she got home. The drive back was tense, with Melissa constantly checking her rearview mirror despite the patrol car following at a discreet distance, an extra precaution the sheriff had insisted on. "Mommy?" Emma's small voice came from the back seat. "Was that man trying to hurt us?" Melissa met her daughter's eyes in the rearview mirror, considering how to answer. She'd always believed in being honest with Emma, but not in a way that would traumatize her. "We don't know for sure, sweetheart. But sometimes adults can have problems that make them do things they shouldn't. That's why we have police officers to help keep everyone safe. Like how you saw him in my picture even though I didn't?" "Exactly," Melissa said, amazed once again by her daughter's perceptiveness. "That's why we always need to be aware of our surroundings and trust our feelings if something doesn't seem right." They were less than 10 minutes from home when Melissa's phone rang. The car's Bluetooth displayed the sheriff's number, and she quickly answered. "Ms. Jenkins, we've got him." Relief washed over her like a wave. "Where?" "One of our officers spotted him trying to hitch a ride on the highway heading out of town. When they approached, he ran into the woods. K9 units tracked him to an abandoned ranger station. He surrendered without incident when he realized he was surrounded." "Did he have a weapon?" "Yes, an unregistered handgun, and that's not all. We found a backpack with duct tape, zip ties, and a flash drive." "A flash drive?" Melissa asked, confused. "It contains photos of multiple young girls from the area, including several of your daughter taken this morning. He appears to have been stalking her specifically." Melissa's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "But why Emma, if he has a daughter of his own?" "We're still piecing that together, but it appears his ex-wife and daughter moved to your neighborhood recently. Given the restraining order, he might have been collecting information about local children who resembled his daughter. Your Emma was just in the wrong place at the wrong time." After ending the call, Melissa glanced back at Emma, who had dozed off in her car seat, blissfully unaware of how close she had come to danger. Tears of relief and lingering fear blurred Melissa's vision momentarily before she blinked them away. That night, after Emma was tucked safely in bed, Melissa sat on her own bed, staring at the photo that had started it all. If she hadn't looked closely, if she hadn't trusted her instincts. Her phone chimed with a text from her father. "Both home safe." Sheriff called with update. "You saved the day, Mel. Mother's instinct is a superpower." Melissa smiled through her tears. It wasn't supernatural, just the fierce, protective love of a parent combined with awareness and quick action, but today it had been enough. 3 days later, Keith Wilson was formally charged with multiple offences, including possession of an illegal firearm, violating a restraining order, and attempted kidnapping based on the evidence found in his possession. Melissa turned the harrowing experience into an opportunity, working with local parent groups to develop safety workshops focusing on situational awareness and the importance of trusting one's instincts. She also advocated for improved communication capabilities at remote recreation areas, ensuring no family would face the terror of being unreachable during an emergency. As for Emma, she recovered from the incident with remarkable resilience, though she now insisted on taking selfies with her mother several times a day, just to check for bad guys, she'd say, with a giggle that both warmed and broke Melissa's heart. Sometimes the smallest details, like a barely visible figure in the background of a happy family photo, can make all the difference between a close call and a tragedy. Melissa never again doubted the power of a mother's watchful eye. If this story helped you understand the importance of staying vigilant and trusting your instincts, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us share more real-life experiences that could one day save lives.